Our good friend Paul Dottino joins us here on Big Board Sports, WFAN, and others. That he is all over the Giants, staple with the Giants as a reporter covering the G-Men. And believe it or not, OTAs are underway and a new season will quickly approach. And Paul Dottino joins us here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 Team ESPN Radio. Paul, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be with you.
Always a pleasure, Paul. You're full of energy. I can tell. I love it.
OTAs have only just begun. 2 in the books. We got a few more to go over the next couple of weeks, and then there's mini camp, and well, then you know it, guys. Before you know it, training camp starts.
Yeah, and I'll certainly be making my my annual trips to the Meadowlands. Let me start with Odell Beckham Jr. here and the fact that he's not yet at OTAs. How big of a deal is that?
Don't think it's a big deal at all. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, over many, many years I've been doing this, Roger, there have been so many guys. I could give you literally a toilet paper list of guys and put it on your wall and wallpaper it in your kitchen if you like, of guys who have missed either voluntary mini camps, voluntary OTAs, voluntary passing camps. You know, I've been doing this a long time, and it's not a big deal. It is a big deal when the player's not there for the mandatory mini camp, and that's coming up in the middle of June. Now, if he's not there for that and has not received an excuse from the organization, then it becomes a problem. Otherwise, it's really not that big of an issue. I mean, it's noticed that he's not there, but with a guy like Odell, who is incredible in terms of his work ethic, they know he is busting his butt every chance he gets, working out away from the facility to get himself prepared. So unless Eli's ticked off about it, or Coach is ticked off about it, or Jerry Reese is ticked off about it, I don't think anybody else has a right to be angry.
I know he's in the final year of a 4-year, $10.4 million rookie deal. Is he underpaid right now when you got guys like Antonio Brown getting a 4-year, $68 million deal? Is he due for a big payday here at some point?
Well, you know, Roger, he's got the 5th-year team option that they can execute. So they basically got him locked up in the 2018 season because they've already picked up that option. And so that's not really, free agency is not a storyline for him right now. They also can use the franchise tag on him for 2 years after that. So to be honest with you, Odell's really in no position to even think or talk about a contract situation. And when you consider that he just signed this mega deal that's going to make him the highest paid football player as a spokesman for Nike yesterday, I think he's making an awful lot of money off of that giant logo away from the field anyway. So, in fact, some fans are already saying to me, well, this is too much stuff, off the field. What's he doing? And I'm like, wait a minute. If you're the Giants, maybe it's better he gets those endorsement kind of deals, because maybe that means when it does time to talk contract, he doesn't try to squeeze every penny out of them because he's making so much money elsewhere.
Hey, Paul, it's Chris Honorado here as well. It's good to talk to you, man. My first question, jokingly but half serious, if you follow Paul on Twitter at GiantsWFAN, you know about his Nike 5. You may be the biggest spokesperson for Nike. How the heck didn't you get this deal?
I want to know why he didn't cut me in on any of it. That's what I want to know. I absolutely love my Nikes, and I'm a walkaholic, and I try to get 5 miles in every day, fellas, because I really believe if you're going to be in an NFL locker room, you better at least be in plausible shape. Not enough to play with those guys, but you better at least look the part somewhat. And so, I try to really get my fitness in, and I love my Nikes, but no, they haven't thrown me a dime yet, and I can't understand why. Chris, get on the phone to those people over in Seattle, will you please?
Hey, Paul,
wherever they're located.
On a serious note, what do you make of the Giants draft and I guess the lack thereof of a high draft pick along the offensive line?
Well, I think you compound the problem if you reach and draft a guy who doesn't present the proper value, no matter how much the need is at the position. And so I'm totally on board with them not taking an offensive lineman in their spots in the first couple of rounds, They did take Bisnovati, the tackle out of Pitt, who can play guard or tackle. He's one of those Richie Seibert kind of guys. He's a bulldog. He's an overachiever. He's a lunch pail guy, a blue collar guy. You know, he's not going to impress anybody with his stats or his numbers or his measurements. But what he does do, he plays football. And he'll punch your nose out and knock your teeth out, and he's going to get really tough and rugged and physical. So they think they got a player there who's going to make the 53 in the 6th round in Bisnovati. And of course they signed DJ Fluker during the off season, and this is a guy who is so devoted right now into turning his career around. I'd have no problem betting my money on him. He has gone to a personalized tutoring camp with Willie Anderson, the 4-time Pro Bowler who played for many years with the Bengals. He was a tackle, also played with the Ravens. And Fluker has become his student during the offseason as he tries to erase the memories of San Diego, 4 years there, which he underachieved. And he believes that this one-year prove-it contract with the Giants is like a new lease on life. I'll bet on a guy who's putting it all on the line like he is, and I'll bet on a guy like Bisnovati who will bite your hand off if you try to get to his quarterback. So I do think there's improvement in the depth on the line, and I do believe that Bobby Hart and Eric Flowers, who took the offseason program seriously this year for the first time in their 3-year careers, I believe they will also improve. So I appreciate the feelings. You know how I feel about offensive linemen. The trenches are where you win ball games. I think the Giants are going to be a lot better than people think this year.
And Paul, if you're right on the O-line being okay, I mean, Eli's got a ton of weapons. This offense should be able to put a lot of points on the board.
Yeah, you're right, Roger. I mean, the only question is going to be how are they going to distribute all those passes, and if, in fact, the O-line will do better in the run game. I'm very confident that they've got enough up front with the improvement to keep Eli upright and healthy. I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. You certainly don't want either Johnson or Smith or even Webb, the rookie, to be having to take any snaps this season. I get that. And they're still primarily going to be a pass-oriented team. But what you need from these guys is more balance. The Giants have to be able to run the ball better in the red zone. They've got to be able to run the ball better on the goal line, and they've got to be able to run the ball better in the 4-minute offense so that you don't stick the defense out there with 1:30 to go and a 4-point lead because you couldn't hold on to the ball, move the chains, and get the first down. You can't ask Spags' guys to keep holding on to games like that. They did it too many times last year, and that's where it's all really going to have to improve if the Giants are truly going to be a Super Bowl contender. They got to be able to do things like that with the run game.
Do you expect Eli Manning to have a big season, and how many more years do you think Eli Manning has left?
I think Eli's got at least 2, maybe 3 left in his tank, and that's why, you know, the drafting of the project and Davis Webb was probably not a bad idea. I still think I might have waited another year to get the future quarterback of the Giants, but they like Webb a lot, and so I understand that. And besides, you know, he'll be tied up for 4 years anyway, so I think by that point, you know, you're going to really start having to make a decision as to, you know, what Eli is going to do. But look at what he's got now. He's got the weapon on the outside, the big Plexico Burris type receiver in Marshall, which is what really adds an extra dimension to this passing attack. He's got the slot guy in Shepard, and he's got Odell. I mean, those top 3 are as good as any 3 in the league, and what I love about it is they're all different. You know, Shepard really is a prototype slot guy. Marshall truly is a skyscraper on the outside. And, of course, we all know Odell is just superhuman. So it's hard to imagine that he's not going to have a terrific year. That is Eli. And then, of course, you throw in the zone breaker, Evan Ingram, now who can stretch the field and actually had a faster 40 time than Beckham did at the Combine. You got to think now that he's going to be a much higher level of talent than the tight ends they've had here the last several years. So, yeah, I think the Giants are really looking at an NFC Championship game season, maybe even a Super Bowl. The sky's the limit for these guys. They just got to stay healthy, and they got to play like the back of the football card says they should play.
Paul Dottino, you're the best, man. Love it. Love the energy. You bring it all the time, and the knowledge of the Giants. We appreciate a few minutes, and I'll see you in a couple of months at training camp.
You know I'll be there, shoulder pads strapped on.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Appreciate it.